All right, let's talk about something that's probably keeping you up at night if you're an early-stage founder, raising that very first check. And if you're in that world, you've definitely come across one specific tool, the safe. So let's really get into it.
So, you're building something amazing, right? You've got the vision, you've got the drive, and now you're at that, well, let's be honest, that exciting but maybe a little bit terrifying stage where you need to bring in your first outside investors. It's a huge moment.
And if you've been thinking about this for more than 5 minutes, you've for sure heard people talking about the safe. It's everywhere. It's become the go-to for so many startups trying to get those first few checks in the bank.
And look, on the surface, the safe seems like a total no-brainer. It's fast, it's simple, what's not to love? Well, here's the thing. That simplicity, it's kind of an illusion. It's only part of the story, and if you get this wrong, it can cause some major problems later on. So, let's make sure we get it right.
Okay, first things first. Let's dig into why everyone loves SAFIs to begin with. Why are they so popular? Really, it all comes down to one thing: speed.
So what is a safe at its core? Think of it like this. It's basically a promise. An investor hands you cash today, and in return, you promise to give them shares in your company in the future. The key is that this all happens when you raise your next real, priced funding round. It's a clever way to just, kick that tough conversation about valuation down the road for a bit.
And this right here is the big appeal. It's fast because you're not going back and forth for weeks arguing about your company's valuation. It's cheap because you're not paying lawyers to draft up tons of custom documents. And maybe most importantly, you keep control. No giving away board seats, no giving away chunks of your company right this second.
But how does that promise actually become real shares down the line? It all hinges on one really important detail: the valuation cap.
Let's just walk through a classic example. An angel investor writes you a check for $100,000 on a safe with a $5 million valuation cap. Cool. A year goes by, you build some cool stuff, you get some traction. Now, a big VC firm comes in and leads a funding round that values your whole company at $10 million. Boom. That's the trigger. That's when the safe finally converts into equity.
And this is the payoff for that early investor. This is where the magic happens. The new VC, the big firm, their $100,000 buys them stock at the full $10 million price tag. But your angel? Oh no. Their money converts based on that lower $5 million cap. For the exact same $100,000, they get twice the equity. That's their reward, right? For taking a bet on you when you were just getting started.
Okay, so safes sound pretty awesome for founders. But remember, fundraising isn't a one-way street. We've got to flip the script for a second and see this from the investor side of the table. Because you know what? A lot of them are not huge fans.
This is so important to get. Where you see speed and simplicity, an angel investor might just see vagueness and a whole lot of uncertainty. You love that you get to put off the valuation talk. They're thinking, so I don't actually own anything today? It can feel like they're just handing over a check with no real stake in what you're building yet.
Which, leads them to a totally reasonable question. What happens if you never raise that next round? A safe is built on faith. It requires a ton of trust from that investor that you're actually going to get to that next big milestone.
Okay, now let's talk about the biggest danger for you, the founder. It's what I like to call the hidden cap table trap. This is what happens when you start taking a bunch of easy checks without a real strategy.
And I see this all the time. A founder gets $25,000 here, $50,000 there. Maybe this one has no cap. That one has a $4 million cap. Another one has a $5 million cap. At the time, it just feels like you're making progress, right? The money is coming in. But what you're actually doing is weaving this really complicated web of future promises.
Because we have to be crystal clear about this. A safe is not free money. It might not show up on your cap table today, but every single one of those agreements is a future claim on the ownership of your company.
And then comes the day of reckoning. It's time to raise that big seed round. And suddenly all those different promises you made, they all come due at once. Your nice, clean cap table, it just explodes into this complicated mess. All of a sudden you realize you've given away way more of your company than you ever planned. And you know who hates a messy cap table? The new VCs you're trying to impress. It can make them super nervous, and honestly, it can slow down a deal or even kill it.
So the big question is, how do you use this thing without it blowing up in your face? It really boils down to having a plan, being disciplined, and communicating with total clarity. Let's run through the playbook. Look, when you're talking to an angel investor, especially someone who's new to this game, don't just email them a document and expect a check. Take the time to explain what a safe is and how it works. More importantly, show them the plan. Tell them,
Here's what your money is going to help us achieve in the next year or so. Make them feel like they're a part of something bigger. Your confidence sells it as much as the terms do.
And here are your golden rules. Seriously, the absolute most important thing you can do is use one and only one set of terms for all the investors in a single round. Keep it simple. Set a fair valuation cap. Keep a simple spreadsheet tracking every single safe, and for goodness sake, read the document yourself so you know what you're asking them to sign.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? What is a safe really for? What's its true purpose on your startup journey?
I think it comes down to this really simple but powerful idea. A safe is a bridge. That's it. Its only job is to get you from point A, where you are now, to point B, your next major milestone. It's not a business model. It's not the destination.
So please, don't use the safe as a crutch to avoid having the hard conversations about valuation or your long-term vision. Use it for what it's designed for, a tool to get money in the door quickly so you can get back to work, build momentum, and hit the goals that will make those tough conversations a whole lot easier next time.
And that really brings us to the final critical question you need to ask yourself. With every check you raise on a safe, you're laying another plank on this bridge. So, where is your bridge leading?